Okay, are you there?
نعم.
Okay, we have a question, although we explained this, but we want to concentrate on it. Do all metals share the same properties? Do all of them having same properties? طبعا the answer no. No. مثلا for example, there are differences in properties between the group 1 metals and the transition metals. اكو there is differences. But in general they have a common properties. مثلا mercury is liquid, but it's a metal. It's a metal. بس هو liquid at room temperature. احنا قلنا metals in general they are solid. But mercury, this is mercury if you see the picture. This is mercury. It's a liquid, but it's still metal. So it's not necessarily 100% all metals they are solids مثلا. عندنا مثلا mercury is exception. But and remember, مثلا if you compare group 1 with group 2, yes, both of them are metals, but still there is differences in properties. مثلا for example, group 2 is less reactive than group 1. chemical reactivity مالتهم is less. there's differences but they have common properties, like they are good conductive, they are solids, they they are ductile, they are malleable. So they have so many properties are similar, although there is some differences here and there. Not exactly everything is same. Is that clear?
Yes.
Right. So what we're saying, remember, all elements and sorry, an element doesn't have to have every property of metals. if you take مثلا one metal, مثلا what we said, example, we said metals are solids. تمام, we said that. But we see mercury is not solid, it's a liquid. It means it's not necessarily all these properties of metals should exist with every single metal. There will be some exception. Is that point clear for you?
نعم.
Sama,
Yes.
Muhammad, good. So as long as it has most metal properties, because they have the majority of the properties, so we can classify them as metal. Right. So likewise with non-metals, similar. If an element has most of properties of a typical non-metal, it would be sensible to suggest that it is non-metal, although there is exception. مثلا iodine is a solid، بينما احنا قلنا مثلا majority of non metals they are gases مثلا. So my point is when I say metals, it doesn't mean all these metals having exactly all the properties of metals. But as far as any element, it has the majority of the properties, so we classify them as a metal. That's my point. Now let's do this quiz. It says I am an element, okay, which is solid, so it's solid at room temperature with a very high melting point. I am shiny and magnetic. Look at these properties: solid, high melting point, shiny, magnetic. All these four properties, it is for, what do you think, metal or non-metal?
metal.
metal. تمام. واضح. Very clear. Because it is high melting point, it is a solid, and it's a shiny, because metals are shiny, but non-metals, they are not shiny. And do you know what's the meaning of shiny طبعا? Huh?
Yes.
Good. And
نعم.
magnetic. طبعا Metals are, some of them magnetic, but non-metals, they are not magnetic. So your answer for number 1 is metal or non-metal?
Metal.
Metal. Okay, let's go to number 2. It says, I am an element which is a gas. Look at the word gas. My first impression, this is not metal. This is not metal because because metals, no metal is a gas. There is no metal as a gas. At room temperature, I don't conduct electricity. Again, it's not conductive. Metals are conductive. Non-metals, they are not. So this is another property. And I am a poor conductor of heat. So it's a poor conductor of heat, and it's a poor conductor of electricity, and it is a gas. So what do you think it is? Is it metal or non-metal?
Non-metal. Non-metal.
Non-metal, obvious. Good. Number 3, it says, I am an element that is shiny, solid, at room temperature with a high melting point. Again, when hit with a hammer, I shatter because I am brittle. Oh, we have something here. It is a brittle, but it's shiny, and it has high melting point. It give you some idea it could be metal, and it give you some idea it could be non-metal. I am poor conductor of electricity. طبعا this questions is not like number 1 and number 2. So in your idea, do you classify this one as a metal or non-metal? You have in the question.
Non-metal.
Okay, we will see the answer. And why you consider it non-metal? On what properties you consider it as a metal?
Because it has 3 properties that makes it a non-metal, and I think so there are more than the properties that makes it a metal.
Because it's a brittle. Do you know what's the meaning of a brittle?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like fragile and it's poor of conductivity. طبعا these are properties of non-metals. But shiny solid could be for metal. So what do you consider it now? Do you consider this element is a metal or non-metal?
I think it's still a non-metal.
Huh? Non-metal. Okay. And what about Muhammad? What do you think?
I'm thinking it's a
Just give
metal.
your idea. Just give your idea. We will explain it anyway.
Metal.
Do you classify this element as a metal or non-metal?
Metal.
Huh?
Metal.
Metal. Okay. Can you see number 4? It says, I am an element which is a shiny solid at room temperature, and I think this is repeated, sorry. Anyway, okay. Let's go to the answer. It says number 1 is metal. I am the metal element, for example, iron, Fe. Why is a metal? Because most metals are solids with high melting point and shiny. 3 metal elements like iron, cobalt, nickel are also magnetic. So number 1 is a metal, as you said, because all these properties exist with metals. Number 2, you said it's non-metal. Yes, it is non-metal, like مثلا nitrogen. Non-metals are gases at room temperature because it says a gas. Almost all metal elements are solids and always conduct electricity. يعني number 2 should be non-metal because metals are solids, بينما we don't have any metal as a gas. And the question says is a gas. So as far as it says it's a gas, so it must be non-metal. It must be non-metal. It's not a metal. Is the answer clear why I'm saying?
نعم.
No.
Good. What about number 3? It says I am non-metal. I just remind you again to number 3 if you forgot. Do you remember we said it's shiny solid at room temperature? So solid give me an impression it is metal, and high melting point, again, this one give me an impression is a metal, but it says when hit with a hammer, I shatter because I am brittle. I am a poor conductor of electricity. So we classify this as a non-metal, because non-metal is brittle, yes. It's not ductile, it's not malleable, although it is shiny solid. Yes, there is some non-metals, they are shiny, they are solid, but they are non-metal. They are non-metal. So that's the answer there. It says initially the high melting point and shiny appearance of this element suggested that it might be metal. Tamam? Giving you first impression is a metal, but metals are usually malleable and they always remember, always conduct electricity. And because it said is not conducting electricity, so I go to classify it as non-metals. So we conclude that it is a non-metal, and we make an exception for the fact that it is a shiny solid. Yani it means, although it is shiny solid, which give me an impression it's a metal, but there's another properties. It should confirm it as a non-metal because it's not conductive for electricity and for heat. Metal must be conductive, but because this one is not conductive, so is classified as non-metal. Okay, I think this is clear for you by now. Right. Shall we go back? Just 1 minute. Let me go back again a bit to the periodic table. I want to concentrate on it. Is that periodic table clear for you?
نعم.
نعم.
Okay. Just 1 minute. Right. If I ask you, although you don't know the name, but tell me the symbol. If I ask you, tell me the members of group 4. Hamad,
Ask the question again, please.
what is the members, the elements of group 4?
The elements of group 4. Carbon, silicon,
Okay.
germanium, tin, lead, and lithium.
Okay, PB and FI. Okay, even if you don't know the name, that's not a problem because you're not responsible to know all the names. You're not responsible to know all the names. But at least you know when I say group 4. Okay, Sama, can you tell me group 3, please? Sorry, period 3. Period 3.
Sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur. Wait,
Sorry.
did it? Chlorine, argon.
Good, very good. So you know why is it in period? How many electrons in the outer shell for group 2?
2.
2. Muhammad, how many electrons in the outer shell of group 8?
2. No, 0, sorry, 0. Or 8. 0, 8.
No, no. When you say 0, it means there is no outer shell.
Oh, so 8.
Outer shell always, when I say outer shell, that's good. Good mistake. Good mistake. Because I'm going to teach you something. When I say the outer shell, يعني the outer shell, there is something exists. Some electron exists. It doesn't matter how many, but there is something. 1, 2, 3, 4, doesn't matter. When there is no electrons in the outer shell, that's not outer shell. Outer shell means the last one which is far away from the nucleus, and there must be electrons. So how many electrons in group 8 in the outer shell? Except, okay, for helium in group 8, how many electrons you have in the outer shell?
0, right?
Again, I explained it to you, Muhammad. How many energy level in helium is in period 1? معناته there's only one energy level. تمام?
No.
There's only one. So how many electrons in helium? How many electrons?
In helium, 1.
Helium, He, group 8. Look at it.
Oh. Wait, what are you asking again?
What the number says? Helium, He in group 8. Can you go to group 8?
Yeah, I see it, yeah.
Can you see the first member of this group? What is
Yeah, helium.
what is the symbol of this element in this group?
He.
He. It is helium. How many electrons in helium?
2.
Good. There is only 2. And how many electrons it should be in the first level?
2.
So there's only one level for helium. There's only one, which is 2. So the
Okay.
outer shell is the first, and that's why it is in period 1. And that's why in period 1, remember, period 1, it means you have one energy level, only one. We have only 2 elements like that, hydrogen and helium, because hydrogen contains 1 electron and helium contains 2 electrons. So, and that's it. You have only 2 elements in period 1. Shall we move to period 2? How many electrons in the outer shell of lithium? Do you know where is lithium?
Yeah.
Where is it? In which
It's
group and in which
group
period?
1.
In which
Group 1,
group?
period 2.
In which group and which period?
Group 1, period 2.
Good. Excellent. And group 1, period 2. What is that telling you? And you have 3 electrons in lithium. So how many energy level you have?
1.
Huh?
One on the outermost shell, 2 inside.
So it is in period 2.
Yeah.
Because you have 2 energy levels.
Mm.
Tamam?
No.
I explained this. I think I need to go again, explain it. I believe you're not good at this one. Right, look at the example, first one, sodium. How many electrons we have in sodium? We have 11. We have 11. So, how many electrons in the first level?
2.
Good. And then in second level
8.
and third level,
1.
1. So the number of levels telling you what?
How many electrons are
The
in each
group,
level?
telling you the group or the period?
Period.
Period. Good. So sodium is in period 3.
Oh, I
And,
got it. Oh, okay.
and 1 electron in the outer shell, it means it is in group 1.
Yeah.
I written there for you.
Yeah.
A group is the number of electrons in the outer shell. Because sodium has only 1 electron in the outer shell, so it is in group 1. And because it has 3 energy levels, 2, 8, 1, 2, 8, 1, so it is in group 1. Is that clear or not?
Yes.
Let's take
Clear.
another example. Look at the fluorine. Fluorine has how many electrons? 9. If you look at the periodic table, you see fluorine has 9 electrons. So if I distribute these electrons in the levels, in first level you have 2, in second level you have 7. So because I have 2 energy levels, so it is in period 2. And because I have 7 electrons in the outer shell, so it is in a group 7. So the number of shells, how many shells, it tell you the period. And how many electrons in the outer shell, it tell you the group. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Right. Can you explain to me number 3, neon? How do you know the group and how do you know the period?
So the period is the number of shells, so it's in period 2, because there's
And the
2
group
shells.
is how much it has on its outer shell.
Are you talking to me or to Muhammad, Sama?
You.
Okay. Let Muhammad answer his question and then we later comment. Me and you, okay? Yalla Muhammad,
Okay.
explain it to me. Explain how do you know that neon in which group and in which period?
So there are 2 shells in total for neon, so it's in period 2.
Good.
And the group is in group 8 or group 0, as there are 8 electrons at the outermost shell.
Right. That's why I prefer to say group 8. I don't prefer to say group 0. In my belief, that 0 is not good to name it as a 0. But some people, they name it as a 0. But just to let you know that some people, they name it as a 0. But it's a group 8. Group 8. But if you say group 0, it's accepted. But not number of electrons is 0. In this case, it's 8. Is that point clear?
Na'am.
Yeah.
So, briefly, if you want to know the number of which group is that element in, we look at to the outer shell electrons.
Mm.
طبعا, this is for your level. When you go upper level, this story a bit different. This story a bit different. But for your level, it's like that. And if you want to know the period, you see how many electron shells you have. So for sodium, because I have 3 shells, or in other words, you have 3 energy levels, so it is in period 3. And in fluorine, I have 2 energy levels, so it is in period 2. And in neon, again, I have 2 energy levels, so it is in period 2. And because I have 1 electron for sodium in the outer shell, so it is in group 1. And because for fluorine, I have 7 electrons in the outer shell, so it is in group 7. And for neon, because I have 8 electrons in the outer shell, so it is in group 8. So for example, carbon is in group 4. Why is it in group 4? If you look at the carbon and you write the electronic distribution for carbon, you will find out that carbon has 4 electrons in the outer shell. And that's why it's in group 4. Okay, let me do another questions to make sure you understood, you got the point. Now, if I give you a symbol, I want you to find out for me where is that element, in which group, and in which period. BR. Where is BR? Can you see it? Where is BR? And suppose you have an element and you want to find out information about this element. So we go to the periodic table and we look on the periodic table to find out where is that element, where is it?
Is it in period 4 in group 7?
Well, yes, yes, good. It is in group 7. Okay, I find it. Where is it? Where are you, BR? Where are you, BR? I'm calling you, BR. Taban, BR is not gonna answer me because BR cannot talk. So I look by my eyes to find out where is BR. At last, we found it. Okay, BR, I found you. Where are you? You are in group 7. And I want to know In which period is that BR? So in which period is BR then?
Period 4.
4.
Period 4. So we identified where is BR. And because we identified where is BR, in which group BR is, and in which period, and we know the atomic number. How do we know that number? I'm not gonna يعني keep in my mind all these elements, each one what is the atomic number. I myself, I don't know. I myself, and nobody wants to know. That's why we have a periodic table. So I want to know bromine, how many electrons in bromine? Where is that? How many electrons?
Is it 39?
No, 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 no. That's BR is
35.
35. Can you see it as 39 on your screen? Do you see it as 39?
No, it's just because I was a bit far away, that's why.
It's 35. It's 35. Okay, let's do another example to make sure you understood the periodic table. If I ask you calcium, for example, and remember, you need to know the symbols up to element 20, which is calcium. What is the calcium? Tell me what are the period and what the group and how many electrons in calcium, and tell me, it's 4 questions, and tell me is it metal or non-metal.
It's
Someone,
in.
okay,
Okay.
Muhammad, let's this question only for Sama. I will ask you similar question. Sama,
It's in period 4, group 2. It
good,
has 20 electrons
good,
and it's a metal
very good, excellent. How do you know it's a metal?
because it's on the right-hand side of the thing that
Left,
separates
because
the
it's on the
blue.
left. Yeah, always remember group 1 and 2, they are very good metals. They are very good metals. And even group 3, but the metallic character, chemistry is a deep students. Because for your level, we cannot tell you and explain everything for you. So that will confusing you. Anyway, Muhammad, the question is for you now.
Okay.
Phosphorus. The symbol is P.
Oh, P. Okay. Found it. It's in group 5, period 3. It has 15 electrons. And what's the fourth question again?
And is it non-metal or metal?
It's a non-metal.
It's non-metal. Why is it non-metal?
Because it's found on
On
the other
right.
side of the stairs, and it's on the right side.
Good, very good. Right. Let me see if there is something I want to, explain it again. I think these are clear for you. And what about the differences? Did you get the points? Metals are conductive. Non-metals, they are not conductive. طبعا there is exception, only one exception with non-metals. It's good to know it. It's good to know. There's only one exception with non-metals. It's the carbon and graphite. Graphite is a carbon. يعني carbon, let us say graphite. Do you know what graphite means?
Is it the thing in pencils?
Yes, yes. طبعا although in the pencil is not a pure graphite, it is not a pure graphite, it's mixed with sands. And the reason, because graphite, if you make it pure graphite, it's very, very greasy, very greasy. So they mix sand with it to make it a bit solder, more solid يعني. That's just for your information. Yeah. So remember, the only non-metals which is conductive is graphite. The only non-metal which is conductive, it is graphite. طبعا there is a reason for that. يعني inshallah in the other levels, when you go more and more, year 10, year 11, or year 12, we will explain that for you why it is conductive, although it is it's non-metal. So, and remember, malleable and remember ductile, these two words. Can you tell me what is malleable?
Malleable is being able to move it into.
We can make sheets. We can make sheets. Have you seen sheet of copper, for example, or sheet of iron. We see sheets in every day. Yani people work on sheets, so that's metals is not is always metals, and ductile. So these two words are very important to know when you're comparing metals and non-metals. And can we remember metals in general? They have high melting point and boiling point, and that's why they are solids. But non-metals, they have low melting point or boiling point, and that's why majority of them, they are gases. And you have some examples for metals and non-metals. For metals, you have silver, you have gold, you have copper, you have aluminum, iron, sodium, magnesium, etc. All these are conductive. All of them, they are solid. All of them, they have high melting point. On the other side, non-metals like hydrogen, which is gas, helium, gas, iodine and phosphorus and carbon, these are solids. Nitrogen, oxygen, they are gases. Sulfur is a solid. Neon is a gas. So you see some of them, they are gases, and some of them, they are solid. While metals, all of them, they are solid except mercury. Mercury is liquid, but it's metal. Right. I think everything is clear for you today. If you have any question, do you have any question you want to ask?
لا.
Right. Where I have this? Just 1 minute. Just 1 minute. Yeah. Okay. I was hoping to do something about compounds, but I leave this. We will do complete compounds about naming and how to write compounds. I think for next session is better for you. I don't want to do it in hurry. And we do formula. Yeah. Okay. So are you okay for today?
نعم.
You okay for today? Do you have any question?
لا.
Right. Sama, have you sent me your homework?
No, and I'm sorry بس هو كان عندنا إحنا هذا الأسبوع كله 3 موكات باليوم فما لحقت إنه أكمله.
Okay, I will send you today another homework for this lecture and try to submit them as soon as possible. Yani.
Okay.
Right. And I advise everyone, yani after this session, when you finish, when you want to do homework, but after 2 days, 3 days, when you have some time, watch the lecture again. Watch the lecture again. I will send you the link on YouTube. Once you click on the link, you get the YouTube. Watch it again. Yani it's good to watch the lecture 2, 3 times. It's good.
Sure.
Okay?
Okay.
Right. Shall we say bye for now?
Bye.
مع
Okay.
السلامة.
Okay. مع السلامة محمد. Bye bye.